And I like to observe. I really do like to observe my surroundings. I like to observe people. I like to observe how they treat others. I like to observe the many things that they do, the parts that they try to hide from the world because they feel like they will not be accepted.
Roll me, Mac.
When was the last time you lowered your standards just to get someone else's approval? Last time I lowered my standards to get somebody else's approval would probably be, I'd say my last relationship having a girlfriend. That was me lowering my standards. Not in the sense as if like she was beneath me, but more so about my ability to endure certain behavior. Yeah, more about my ability to endure certain behaviors. Not like, you know, she was beneath me or anything like that. I don't want to imply that by any means. If indeed she ever comes across this stuff, not that I care, but just being honest with my my audience. It wasn't about that, you know. It was more about just the behavior in which I was enduring, and what I mean by that is I was chasing crumbs, and I vowed from that moment on I would never chase a woman again, you know, because whatever I'm chasing is running away, and we don't have to do that. There's enough people to go around that we don't have to chase one's affection. But I believe traumatized me was not aware of this, obviously, because I put up with chasing crumbs. I put up with being talked to as if I did not matter, as if I was less intelligent than the person I was in a relationship with. That, you know, there was many things that I put myself through. I want to take responsibility. Things that I allowed myself to receive from someone, and I thought, you know, just from studies, and you know, when I looked at, after reading the 4 agreements, is realizing that you will allow a person to treat you the way you feel like you deserve, and anytime they treat you more than that, that's when you'll speak up and say something. So part of me felt like that's the best I could do. That was what I deserved. I deserved to be talked to as if I was not enough, as if I was a mistake, as if I was just a fuck up, and just so many things that you wouldn't believe now, obviously, from getting to know me the last few years. But it was that sparked that change for me, and it was the perfect storm. I call that situation that we were in the perfect storm. I hope, I believe that she got to see somebody that actually valued her, and not just for any other reasons that somebody may have used her before, but somebody that was actually thought the world of her. And that's my mistake. That's another mistake, cardinal sin amongst men that we tend to do. When you treat a woman like a celebrity, she will treat you like a fan. So it's finding a balance between valuing somebody versus making them feel special. And that's where I try to stay in between. I don't want you to feel special from my standpoint. And that's not a negative thing. It's just more so about boundaries for myself, because I know what I am capable of, what I've done to try to prove myself to these people, whether it be friends I thought I wanted to be cool with and just putting them up on pedestals, and girls that I wanted to be with that I thought was out of my league. For this one in particular, mentally, I just thought she was. From the beginning, I thought she was out of my league, and you've already failed at that point in time. So putting her on this pedestal, and then to learn that she felt like she didn't deserve me in the end. And that was interesting, because I looked at her as being like hot shit. I'm talking about like she could do no wrong, and that's where the rose-colored lenses were on, because I was ignoring red flags, because they could do no wrong to me. I'm like, man, I just think you're the world. I just want to make sure that the world is nice to you. I want to cover you. You know what I'm saying? Protect you from whatever. Give you whatever you want. Spoiled ass, princess treatment, all of that. But finding that balance between valuing somebody and then to the point where they feel special. Now, if that's how a person interprets me valuing them, my perspective and your perspective are two different things. I'm not going to get into a debate where, I feel special by you. Okay, cool, great. As long as you know you're valued. You know what I mean? But I had to really gain perspective. I had to detach from the situation. I was too caught up emotionally. I was trying to repair wounds from a time long before I even met her. That's why I say it was like the perfect storm for me. It showed me a lot about myself. It definitely showed me a lot about her. It showed me a lot about us. And I stand by my statement to this day. There is no ill will about it. It was just an experience, and it was just two people at two different stages that were projecting their pain onto one another in some way, shape, or form. And I do apologize for my role in our toxicity. Honestly, that was not my intent. I was looking for love just like everybody else. I was looking for it through fear and control, though, in a lot of ways. And that's on me. And that's dealing with your own trauma and being honest with yourself. So yeah, I lowered my standards in a sense of I wanted to please. I wanted to people please. There was this common trait that I would find where I would find somebody I would be head over heels over, and then I would just forget about whatever I am, as if it didn't matter. I just wanted to make sure that she knew she mattered. And that's not the way to go. To carry it like you do not have a presence, like you don't have an identity, like you don't have a voice, like nothing you do matters. It's just all about her. That's where I fucked up, in my opinion, looking back. And that's not on her, that's on me, of choices that I made. But it was very telling. It was very telling about myself. It was very telling about the situation. I was already I was in a place where I was lost. I was in a dark space. And then it was like leaving the frying pan into the fire from the previous relationship, going with that. So I'm wired to go towards toxicity. So I'm very hesitant about getting into commitment because of that reason, for sure. That is part of it. That leaves me hesitant of getting into commitment because I have a tendency to overlook some things that I probably could have paid attention to that put me in a position where I felt like I couldn't get out of. So yeah, there's trauma with that. There's also awareness. There's trauma and awareness. I can be honest with myself about that. And when it comes to those like relationships, because I know the lengths that I'm willing to go, and for the person that I value, truly adore, and all that stuff. And it's just a matter of not feeling appreciated for it. And that is the thing. That's the fucking conundrum for me. Taking care of somebody in a relationship, that's the easy part, bro. That's the easy part for me. You know, that's nothing. I've been doing service all my fucking life, you know. But to know that somebody is going to take care of you, trusting that they will take care of you and manage you the way that you believe you will manage them. And that's all ego. I'm be honest, you know, because it's like I do this, but they do that. That's, you know, it's clearly my ego talking, but that is legitimately where my mind goes in those situations. And so it's like just taking your time. And sometimes it can mean a long time, but being very tactful and being mindful of waiting for that representative to leave so that you can show me who the fuck you are and decide if that's something that is manageable. Are your insecurities manageable for how I run my frame, for how I live my life? Those things. That's what, to me, is very key, present, important. So that's something that I just kind of, I keep in mind, being very aware. And I like to observe. I really do like to observe my surroundings. I like to observe people. I like to observe how they treat others. I like to observe the many things that they do, the parts that they try to hide from the world because they feel like they will not be accepted. What type of things that you hide? And that's where I'll make a decision. Is that something that I'm willing to live with in the long term? Because if there's, obviously if there's shit goes on that very well might be detrimental to just peace itself, there's no need to get involved in that. And that's nothing personal. It's just, all right, it's just not for me. It's just understanding that it's just not for me. Yes, certainly a time where I lowered my standards, and that was one of them. It was like I got caught up in something, and then I felt like I put myself in this position. And now you made your bed, now you gotta sleep in it. Right before that incident, I was actually involved with somebody that we checked each other's boxes very well. But it was like on some friend shit, right? So I made a bold decision. I made an executive decision. And it was costly. And I felt it. I felt it when I was in I was in a relationship with somebody that was not necessarily the best for me, the most effective for me. And I sat with that guilt. There was a lot of guilt that I felt for the simple fact of the decision that I made. I overlooked what was best for me for something that was familiar to me in a sense of toxicity. And that's another thing of taking your time and evaluating things. And recognizing like, hey, is this what's best for me, or this is familiar? Is this just familiar to me? And that's me just being honest with myself in front of everybody, watching this, listening to this. It was an interesting time. I'll say that. There were some moments, man. I was like, I really don't believe I'm sitting in this shit. I really don't believe that. I really don't believe that I'm sitting in this position to where, I wake up in the middle of the night. And she recognized that I'm up, and then she plays sleep because, she was doing some weird shit on her fucking phone. And I'm, that right there is just an uncomfortable feeling. It is a very uncomfortable feeling. I dealt with it. I didn't want to get into an argument. So I endured it. But when you see something, you can't unsee it. And that's the thing. about it. You know, you'd be a fool to not take that into consideration. But I was, from that point on, well, really before that, I was trying to figure out my nice way to get the hell out of this thing. You know, it's a little bit different now. I could give a fuck about being nice. I'll just exit stage right. I'll just exit kindly. I'll exit the stage kindly, and that'll be it. There's nothing personal. It's just like that shit ain't for me. But yeah, I certainly lowered my standards for her approval. And I was gone. I was gone, man. Like, you know, that whole thing where I say about a man that's falls in love, he becomes a boy. And it's like, you got to do your damnedest as a man to not do, for me, my perspective, you know, not to say do not allow yourself to experience love, but to allow yourself to not go that far to where you can't even think straight, where you just make poor decisions, where your trauma just has you doing whatever to just please this person so that you can receive love. And to me, it's pathetic. You know, I mean, I don't fault my past self for trying to look for what perceived to be loved, what was familiar, something you chased. But looking back, it's pathetic, because that's not what love does. I mean, love just loves, you know what I'm saying? Love is not about chasing at all. It's it's a decision that you make. It's an action word. You decide to love if you're going to do that, regardless. And it's an unconditional thing about it. You know, you're not able to help the fact that you love somebody. Like, I'm not able to help the fact that I love my daughter, regardless of what she may do or, you know, she's done or what have you. I'm not able to help the fact that I love her. My mom. I'm not able to help the fact that I love her. My father, my brother. There is an unconditional love that I have for them, regardless of whatever pain I feel that they might have caused or whatever pain they feel I might have caused them. I can't help but to love them. Now, I can control what I, allow myself to be around. But as far as like that love for them, man, that's something that it doesn't go away, you know? And there's a love I have, for people I've known in life, even that I'm no longer speaking to. And just keep them where the fuck they are. That's all. They're there for a reason. There's a reason why we're not in communication. And that's just accepting that. But I certainly put myself in a position where I lowered my standards and accepted a toxic behavior as if I deserved it. And you guys know how I feel about that term, deserve. But I really did carry myself as if I deserved it. And it was like, I was too afraid to leave the table, but not anymore. No, we're in a different space now mentally. And it's just recognizing, really recognizing energy. Truly recognizing energy. And when you feel it enough and know that it's just not there anymore, then you have to accept that. But no more lowering standards. No more. What's something recently that you revealed to heal for yourself? I don't care for people leaving me. And the reality of that is more so like people that you've grown to know at the job, that you've grown quite fond to, that really were an asset to the team and the staff, especially like working in the Navy. When they depart, obviously they have to because they get orders, man. There is a feeling, is like a part of you is going, it's kind of like leaving with them. And it's just seeing great spirits. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some fucked up ass people in the Navy. There's some fucked up ass people in general. I don't want to just put that straight on the Navy, but you come across personalities that are just in pain, that. But then there are just some people that you come across and they just really do brighten the room that they're in with their spirit, and you just want to protect that, right? There were a few people like at home, like when I worked at Homestead, we had a few people, man, that were like they were some of the kindest people you've ever seen, man. They definitely had an influence on me. And people get old, people pass away, people retire, people move. And we had some people, you know, everything I just mentioned. And one of my work dads, you know, I left first actually, but he retired maybe 2 years ago. And I'm talking about one of the kindest men, Cuban men, that you'll ever meet in your life. Give you the shirt off his back if he could. And in the rain and the snow, it didn't matter. He would give you his shirt off his back. That was just his personality. But but to leave that after for so long, it's such an uncomfortable feeling, man, and it's hard to kind of stomach for me. And there's a lot of I'll say my inner child kind of sees it as abandonment issues, where it's just that feeling you have to get used to the fact that this person's not going to be here anymore. There was a cat when I first got to here in Jacksonville that I worked with. I'm talking about a sharp troop, but like I said, a sparkle in the room wherever he went, hands down. You couldn't say a foul word about this man. Young cat. I think he's about my brother's age probably. So what is that? What am I, 40? So he's like 33, 32, something. Yeah, 32. I believe he's 32 or 33. One of them shits. But when I tell you that he just looked out and just always had this joy about him, despite going through some shit in his life, he ensured to come to work with that energy that just really boosted the morale in our building. And it was sudden when we found out that he was leaving. And it sucks because you build a rapport, you build energy in the room, chemistry amongst your coworkers. You know, things change, and it's just like an adjustment period to have that. But you miss those times. You miss how things used to be. You miss that we had something solid going on at the job, and made the day just roll by. Don't get me wrong. People come in and replace, and it's not the same. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the worst. It's not worse than what you had, but it's different when it's not them. And that's to say that's what makes that person stand out for themselves, because they are themselves. And that's the whole thing of accepting a person as themselves for that, who they're portraying themselves to be at that given moment. But recognizing like there's just like this uneasy feeling of not allowing yourself to get but so close for that legitimate fear that somebody is going to leave. And it's something that's been bad. I think more so because I was a military brat. So the friends I'm born in 1985, as Charlemagne would say, and I'm born in 1900s, the 1900 of 85, and we didn't have social media. Some people might have had internet, but we didn't have social media when we went from Cuba to Pax River, Maryland in 92. Yeah, there's no social media. The friends that I had as, kindergarten and first grade and all that stuff, who knows where they are right now. The friends that I had when I was in Pax River from 92 to when we moved in 95, we came back to visit one time just to drive around the neighborhood, and we saw the neighborhood going to shit after we came back. But it was different, man. It was so different. not having contact with what was it? Matthew Miller, Ryan, and Jared. Those are my homies. I used to play baseball with them in our little big field that we used to have in Pax River in our apartments, yeah, there was a time that we had together as kids. And I remember that feeling like, we're gonna be moving soon. We're gonna be moving to Suffolk, wherever the hell that is, Suffolk, Virginia. My dad was getting stationed in Norfolk. And all those friends that I had in Pax River, we didn't keep in touch anymore. I just so happened to, what's interesting though, I ran across somebody that I knew from back then, and we went to elementary school together. We we ran across each other in the Air Force. Go figure, right? Small world. I was like, I recognized her face, and I remember her older brothers. We used to play basketball together outside, but it was cool to see them again. But when I moved to Virginia, I was so hell bent on just trying to fit in. I was literally like Smalls on the Sandlot. I'm a new kid in town, and I'm just trying to fit in with these guys around me, and I'm willing to do whatever to prove that I'm cool. Whatever it is to to fit in and have friends and all that shit. And I was putting up with some bullshit, from people. I'm talking about like stealing my game magazines from under my bed. I'm going to your house, I'm seeing a game magazine that looked familiar to me, and I'm like, this nigga stealing from me? I literally just, guys and, kids in my room doing shit, not caring about me. Just coming over the house and just doing fuck shit, I was afraid to lose those bonds that I put up with bullshit a lot of times in life, man, which would carry over into like relationships. I gotta leave you before you leave me. Selfishly, that's what my mindset was. But bringing everything back together, the moving, being a military brat, it's just not having, like some people that I met in Suffolk, they've known each other since kindergarten. They grew up together. Like my brother was fortunate enough, the people that he was in kindergarten with, he graduated with them. But for me, there was a lot of shaking and moving because, we were military brats. But there was this uneasy feeling about like moving. And then in my adult years, I would never be comfortable with just stay in a place for so many years. I would move. I probably moved every 2 years when I lived in Miami, just around the city, but not the job. I stayed in the job for a little bit, but there was this constant thing of, trying to avoid abandonment, trying to avoid being left, feeling like you are not enough, so people leave, and all these things that the parts of your brain that try to fix shit tells you. That's not necessarily true. Don Miguel Ruiz has a statement: don't believe your thoughts and don't believe anybody else's, because it's just thoughts, it's ruminating. And your brain is trying to come up with the worst thing. So it tends to come up with the worst case scenario. And it likes to find problems to solve or just create problems in general. But that's something I learned. Actually, I was walking at work today and it just came to me about that. I didn't really pay much attention to it, but that's something that I had to reveal to heal is I don't care for people leaving. And I myself have done it, leaving a job and stuff like that, or just seeing the world get shaken up, where you find like this chemistry with a group of people, and then somebody gets a job, somebody gets orders, somebody just someone passes away, whatever it is. It just shows that nothing is permanent, and to not be attached to anything. But it's just appreciating the time spent with those people. And now it was just a cool moment today to just recognize that feeling with your inner child, your wounded inner child, really speaking out and saying, "Oh, I don't care, for the fact that people leaving. I fear people leaving and abandonment and all of that stuff. But you're fine by yourself. You're not incomplete. You're not broken. It's just learn to appreciate those for the time being, and you're not entitled to them in your life, and don't expect people to be in your life forever." And so that's something that I've used to kind of help, process some things. And it just really does teach you gratitude. It teaches you appreciation for the time spent with those people. Something I had to reveal to heal the concept of people leaving. What car did you learn to drive in? I learned to drive in my mother's Pontiac Sunfire. It was a red car. I don't remember the year. Maybe 99, something like that, 2000 or something like that. But it was nice. So I just remember us always going to church. When I got in high school, like getting into like 11th grade, Mom would sometimes let me drive to church. And she would, sit in the passenger side. And, I was riding in the car with your mom. Is nerve-wracking as hell. But I did learn. I got more comfortable driving with Mom. She really did take that time to put me out on the road and really show me how to weather the storm of the road. There was times where I think I scared her half to death, and she screamed in the car and had me hit the brakes in the middle of traffic right there in front of the Getty Mart. For those who from, like our area, Burbage Grand and Church, I know y'all remember where the Getty Mart used to be. But I was turning left. Mom didn't think I could beat the traffic, so she screamed. And you do not want to yell at a high school driver in the middle of traffic. That's how the hell you get killed. But that's something that we laugh at sometimes when we talk about that. But the car I learned to drive in was a Pontiac Sunfire. How did being nice in your life come back to bite you? Well, being nice, right? And what I mean by nice is doing things without boundaries. Nice is doing something that you don't want to do, but you just feel like you have to do. So you tend to put other people's feelings before yours. So not being nice, biting me in the ass, it taught people that I came second. That's what she said. But it taught people that I did not matter. It taught people that I do not have feelings, that the things that I say has no merit, it has no value. And if you become a pushover, right? Because you're afraid to get in a confrontation, and people know that you're not gonna get in a confrontation, so they're gonna do what the fuck they wanna do that benefits them, manipulate, and then you're left frustrated with resentment because you did not speak up for yourself, because you did not set a boundary. And there's been many cases where I've done so. I mean, I talked about a situation earlier of a relationship that I was in where I was just being ultimately nice. I thought that if I love this person harder, they will learn to love me. Dumbass. No. And that, and he didn't know any better. He didn't know any better, but I say that lightheartedly about, me being a dumbass, but he didn't know any better. He was gullible. He believed that person really did value him the way that he valued her. And this is not always the case. But being nice and pretty much catching you in the butt is like you try to look out for a lot of people. You try to be there for everybody. You stretch yourself so thin. And then when you're in need of something, when it's you that needs the shoulder to cry on, the person to be there, nobody's there. And then you're upset because they're not there. But you're not entitled for them to be there. You chose to be there for them, you know? And that's something that I had to learn. I had to learn how to be nice. I had to learn how to be kind. Not nice. I had to learn how to be kind. And kind comes with boundaries. Kind lets you know, hey, I don't mind doing stuff, but I need you to know I matter. So I'm going to say no a few times. I'm not going to always, hey, I need you to work this thing. I got something planned that day, man. I'm not going to be able to make it. I don't know what to tell you. Like, from a work standpoint, where I've been in situations where I was asked repeatedly to work overtime because one of our coworkers kept calling out frequently, and they didn't have, and you know, we didn't have management didn't have much of a backbone to kind of stop the situation from happening. So they kept going to the people they know would say yes, and I was one of those people. Granted, I got paid, but time is something you do not get back. You can make money today, lose money tomorrow, you can make money the next day, but time is something that will never return. And there's a lot of time that was not utilized in the most effective way for my personal life. And that's something I have to accept. But being nice is like somebody asks you to move and it's really out of the way, but you do it because you think this girl's attractive. I remember doing that. Well, I did that one time in Miami and like helped this girl move. And I thought it was gonna be a gang of us there. And it was only me. And I think one of her best friends, she had a fat ass too. But it was just the three of us moving shit. And I was like, you know, I ain't gonna, you know, fuck her over and shit like that. You know, we already here. But it opened my eyes that why nobody showed up for this girl. But that's still my character to aid and help others. But even still, after that point in time, we rarely spoke. You know what I mean? So it was more so there was somebody being used that did not have strong boundaries because they were trying to be validated by the pretty girl or, you know, whatever. But that's neither here nor there. That was a young pup. He didn't know any better, and I stand by that. I still say that to this day. In any situation where I would have done something differently now, he didn't know any better. He did the best that he could with what he had. But being nice or listening to somebody. Another thing when you're being nice and getting caught in that, you know, somebody and come back to bite you, is you taking the time to listen to somebody talk about their problems, and then they turn around and get upset with your ass because of what you shared about what they shared. I'm like, this ain't got shit to do with me, and they popping off, and it's like, how did I get myself in this? Trying to be trying to help people with their shit, and I learned to say no. I learned it's not mine. I'm not gonna let you project your insecurities onto me. In that regard, like I said, there's nothing wrong with allowing a person to vent, but when they look for you to fix their life and they don't like what you have to say, set a boundary for real. And I did. I had to set a boundary from that point on. Because I got no problem. Because I like peace. I have peace in my life, man, and I'm gonna keep it that way. I'm gonna keep peace for sure. One way or another, peace is going to be had. Yeah, being nice. Being that family member that tries to show up for everybody's shit. But it's not necessarily the same in return. And I dealt with that a lot coming up, getting to the age of 40. It was a lot of that scenario. And there was resentment, because I had an expectation because I did something that they were going to do it for me. But that wasn't what they agreed to. They just asked for help. They just asked for help. And there was a lot of frustration. A lot of frustration when I lived in North Carolina that short period of time. Because I believed that I was going to have the same extension. I thought that's just what family did. But that's expectation and that's entitlement. And I learned a great lesson for myself, the difference between family and relatives. And chosen family you're born into, and then of course, your relatives. But it was eye-opening. It caused a lot of fear and very much, wanted to be very private and just to self, and isolated myself from a lot of people because I just believed that I had been done wrong. Ego, my ego was talking. My ego had this expectation of how things were going to go, and when things didn't go according to my vision, to my illusion that I had, that nobody else, was privy to, I felt wronged. I felt that people had did shit to me. Don't get me wrong, there's a couple scenarios where shit was, done. But I look at it from this perspective now of stoicism, and even, the Toltec wisdom that Don Miguel Ruiz talks about, 4 agreements. What else could they do? They can only give you what they've done. People mirror what they see. So projecting their pain onto you. And you decide if you want to take it. You can be indifferent about it. You can choose not to be upset. Anger is a choice response. And I was choosing to be upset. I felt like a kid. I felt like a baby. I was waiting for somebody to come and tend to my anger. And no one has to give a shit. And that was a lesson. That was another lesson learned. It was like, no one has to give a fuck, man. Whether you pissed off or not. We might have been raised in a situation where we had to be responsible for like our parents' emotions, but for grown people, you don't have to care about their emotions like that. It's not fucked up. That's just the truth of the matter. You're responsible for checking your own emotions, regulating your own emotions. But if you grew up having to be responsible for your parents' emotions, guess how you treat adults. You try to regulate their emotions, and you become a people pleaser, and it's and you think you're gonna get love for it. And that's another thing of trying to be nice. You do nice things because you're trying to be loved, and then you don't get it, and then you're resentful because you had this idea of what love was, how love was going to feel, this expectation of what love was going to be, and your expectation of love is not the same as the next person's. And that's a hard lesson to learn, man. It's a hard lesson to learn when somebody tries to tell you, that you didn't love them, and you say to them, you didn't love me. But you're looking at it from 2 different perspectives from what love means, based off what you grew up and what you saw. Is there a healthier form of love? Sure, there is. You can learn about, but you gotta go and look for it. That's for sure. Therapy will teach you a form of like this healing type of love, and that's the love that I try to learn to do. Don't get me wrong, he ain't through with me yet. I'm still being worked on, but a healing type of love in the sense of people allowed to feel safe. But I just feel like closing out right now on that part. So that's what I'm gonna do. So thank you guys for listening to this episode. I appreciate the time that you took to listen, to watch, to laugh, to think. Maybe some things that make you go, like CC Music Factory back in the day. But I'm Romy Mac. This is Ask Rome. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. But I'm out. Good night, kids.